it okay if I put that out?
It's already out.
Is it?
Yeah. This stops by itself. This is a magic boot. What are you expecting a lot? You think too much.
When I can't breathe, I get stressed. We're waiting for you to say something important.
Oh, important. Who are you? Who are you?
Who is there to answer that question?
I don't know, somebody's asking that question. So, somebody who heard the first question, so probably the same one.
Not big enough.
Okay, there's some fear about the question of who I am. That's perfect. So don't worry, we still have a lot of time until we get to you. He'll ask the question, he knows it very well. He'll repeat it to you.
I'm not a student, and I am.
Don't worry, I'm not gonna go to you yet. How do you know?
Because I feel it.
So are you the spirit or the one who feels the spirit?
In different moments, both of them. Yeah. I am the spirit inside. Both. I am, I guess, I mostly.
Which one?
Which one? Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Who else?
I like that definition. I'm a spirit. That looks for more.
And who likes the definition?
Hmm?
Who likes the definition? Can you define that?
I like definition.
Okay. Can you define I?
I'm watching Freddy every day doing things. And I want him to be a certain way.
It obviously it doesn't behave.
What are
No, it doesn't.
what are you without the thought I?
The flat eye
Without the thought I. What are you
without the eye.
without the thought
Without the eye.
Sorry, they will have to disturb you later. I have to ask to serve me.
Yes, I'm the disciple.
Thank you for your service. You'll be rewarded in your next life.
You promised me this.
Okay. I'll remove some karma.
I'll remove some category. Okay, I'll speed things up.
Yes.
And do you still make the throwing bombs?
No, people don't like it.
I like it.
What balls? Whose balls, man?
Don't be afraid.
Nice, it's fun. It's actually good. Nice, it's
It's very spiritual.
yeah, well, are you doing the videos just by yourself now?
Yeah. It's, yeah.
Wherein is your
Yeah, but he doesn't feel like he can say anything that people will like.
Oh.
What he says is very straightforward, and nobody really likes that. You know, yeah, it's people.
People used to like it, you know?
Well, they pretend until they get to leave through the doors and never come back.
I see.
Yeah, so it's people who understand already something, who actually have some awareness and consciousness, they can sit with him and actually bear him, play with him.
Yeah.
But other people don't really like the game of knocking
I see.
alone. Knocking alone is too much.
Yeah.
Knocking is the game that, you know,
No.
if we recognize a thought,
Recognize it and thought.
yeah, for example,
I is a thought.
yeah, knocking. So,
Yeah, or when you realize, like, oh, I thought that this is pretty silly. No. I thought that what this person said is good. You know what I'm saying? Like, before you speak, you think, and then you recognize before speaking.
okay, so in a way, you allow awareness to
Monitor.
monitor thoughts in a conscious way.
I thought. I.
No, of course, it's okay for you to knock, just to like sometimes it's knock on your head to directly remind yourself that this is not the real thing. This a thought is being recognized.
I'm a beginner in this whole thing,
That's cool.
but I've noticed over the last year that I'm more aware of thoughts, the pattern of thought, and it's
Well, yeah, just sit in the comfortable place. Perfect. So it's just gonna be like introduction. Also, you give me just some time. Your
Okay.
yeah, very good, very good. Yes. So, Tatiana is she's going to come to the retreat.
Yes.
I'm afraid.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Very good. So you were introducing actually yourself. You know, yeah.
It's just that's so honestly. I just started noticing that I'm more stopping myself, or just noticing the thought. I didn't reach to a level where I can um, let go completely. Uh,
Is that a
I
thought?
can still see it.
We're playing a game. If you recognize a thought, we know. So for example, if I ask who are you, you say Tatiana, and that is a name, but it comes from a thought. And
Oh,
I
I
am
see.
Tatiana,
Okay.
so you know, okay, Tatiana, a thought, okay, I see it. And for example, you may feel cold here, and you may want me to sit up. You can tell me and actually feel. And that's also a thought. So you recognize and you know. He already knows also the rules of the knocking. Knock knock. You know. You know the game.
Oh yeah. Are you taking out of these?
No, what do you think? It's mine.
That's what we got.
Yeah, so, and you were saying
That's it. That's all I don't know.
that you cannot fully.
Thoughts are cut off now.
Well, that's great. That's great. We cut off the thoughts. We let the presence to be here, and that's pretty much what we do here. We invite presence in this moment to be here, observe the thoughts, observe what's in the present moment, and from here, from this moment, we start. So in this moment, you say you didn't reach the point or the level or whatever you want to call it, where you can fully let go, right? And so is
I'm noticing. I'm noticing that thoughts are just thoughts. Sometimes thoughts when I have, thoughts that I don't like, or I prefer not to have, or they're just thoughts. So I just breathe, and I was diving somewhere, and then I get out of the water, and all the pressure of the water gets relieved. These are just, are these thoughts?
sounds nice.
Yeah, it feels like it. When that memory pops up, just getting out of the water, breathing air, no pressure. So.
Very nice. So immediately the simple recognition of thoughts, and if the thoughts are there, that just breathing in and seeing that this is only a thought, even if it's not wanted, gives some air.
Yeah.
Some, you can actually breathe through thoughts.
That's why.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the whole thing. The release happens when you observe. If you're not conscious, you believe in thoughts, you identify with them, you believe that you cannot let go, and that's any other thought that is there creates pressure, and you feel suffocated until you come to breathe in fresh air, presence, and like everything gets released. So in this moment, we're breathing fresh moment of presence, which is providing us this air to observe. And the way we started actually, just we asked with the question, "Who are you?" With this is, and see, he, for example, felt not comfortable to answer, and I like to ask the same question also. Who are you?
Just anything about me, huh?
Yeah, well, just you.
I'm an artist, I'm a photographer, and I am a spiritual seeker of enlightenment, trying to find my purpose in this life after all those things that have happened. So I think it's happened out of that. So, that's right now.
Yes, yeah.
A little bit shy right now, just wait for it.
Very good. You see, we can observe these things, like it's shyness, it's everything. It's good that you're open about it also, because in here, first of all, we come here for enlightenment, right? So you have to be honest enough to not lie to yourself that you didn't come here just for spiritual feelings. You came for the actual thing. So being honest that I'm shy in this moment is good. He was honest that when I asked who are you, he was uncomfortable with the question. He didn't even want to answer. So this is how to start, being honest, whatever is being felt. Some people feel honestly that they will be super satisfied with the blissed out experience of enlightenment, and they imagine these things. And some people, I don't know, maybe do not live in that experience of enlightenment. And awakening and enlightenment, the same thing. Realization or knowing yourself is perhaps different to each and single one. And before to even start seeking for enlightenment, before to even start desiring that, why not to take a look, is this even real? Is awakening itself is a real thing? How do I know that awakening is true? How do I know that it wasn't conditioned in my belief system to seek for that kind of state? And now everybody believes. And how many spiritual seekers do you see? And how many awakened people do you see? Maybe awakening is a conditioned idea in the illusion world to follow this illusion. I'm seeking awakening. Or perhaps in this moment, because we have presence to speculate and assume that maybe this whole awakening thing is only a thought and we knock it off. We observe awakening is a thought. Thousands of people follow that thought, try to seek and gain and achieve, and nobody can really claim that they do. Some people claim, but then they don't really have it because it's very obvious that it's again a construct, another thought built. I have it, you don't. You have to come to me, pay me money, and give your life savings and your house and everything, and children and grandparents, in order to get awakening. And in here, I do not want anything from you. I do not want anything to give to you. In here, I'm only reflecting what is in this moment. And if in this moment you come here with some shyness, with some fear, with some feeling, with something in you, and being open about this is likely presenting an opportunity for real awakening, because you are already observing what is in this moment. You're being open to yourself. So now be open to yourself and ask, is the awakening even real? And how do I know this is true? Or perhaps you want me to give you a practice for 10 years, 15 years, and then in the end of the practice you'll realize that this whole thing is not true and I was only bullshitting you. At the end you will want to kill me. But perhaps if you need that kind of practice to realize this, I can give it to you also. So be open. What do you want? Do you want instant and immediate realization? Because awakening is instant. There's no time to awakening because it's here.
But if you say awakening, like you say it doesn't exist, it's an illusion.
Yes.
So how do we keep like saying that we're gonna get awakened? So awakening is right here, right now. You can get awakened right here, right now.
No, you can't get. You are awakened.
Yeah, the only way I can, in a way, relate to what you're saying or understand what you're saying is like there is no such a thing as seeking awakening, because like awakening is the natural state. Like I don't know, yeah, lost myself. You thought. But I don't know, like that's what's bothering me. Like, so forget the idea about awakening. Forget, there is no awakening. So why are we here talking about awakening?
Aha, very good, very good, very good. That's a legit question. So, why do you think we're here talking about it?
Because we don't suffer, I think.
So there's suffering if we don't somehow sit down here and talk, which is fine because it is true. Many people live in the world and suffer, and there's not much places like this where people can come and sit, reflect, and observe what is creating suffering. You're given a tool to change suffering state into something other, to work on that, to maybe take some pills. Many different ways how to reduce your suffering, from chemical to practices and spirituality. But how many people want to observe what is causing suffering? Why not to begin to understand from this moment? We perhaps don't even understand what awakening is. Do we understand what I am, what suffering is, and what is all this experience? Who is experiencing all of this? We have to start from the beginning, from the basics of understanding. We cannot go anywhere to try to solve suffering if we don't understand what is suffering. We cannot try to achieve or gain awakening if we don't understand what is awakening. You're chasing an illusion, a dream, a thought. You want to get away from suffering. You're trying to do something. Well, obviously it doesn't work because you're trying to do something what is there to just reduce or to change into a little different state, but not even understand why is it there. Maybe if you understand, naturally it will not be there. So the lack of understanding is causing us to go all different directions, seeking, trying to use this or that method, this practice, or this type of tool. But in here, I do not encourage more of that. I only allow space to observe, in which, in my own interest, is to see what do you observe in this moment. If you do not seek for awakening, if you do not seek for release of stress, even if in this moment you can just be just the way you are, nothing else, nothing more, no intention towards anything, just be. And let's be like that for a few moments in so-called meditation, what people call, but we obviously see that this is not a meditation, this is just naturally the way I am. So I'm gonna be in this way of being as I am right now. And observe whatever you observe. Nothing more than that.
So that can be just before it's scary.
So that's what you observed. Some scared feeling. That's okay. What else?
So much thought, so much thought, so much thought, so much thought, so much needs at the beginning. Like, need to turn off the lights, need to sit in that position, need to put the hands in a different way, need. Yeah. And then after that, lots of space. Yeah. Felt like my body was like getting bigger and filling like lots of space. And it was a good feeling, light. And then back to thoughts. Yeah. And it's just kind of like this change. But I guess, yeah, that's what I had my experience with. Yeah.
Very good. Anybody else is welcome to explore what they have observed and observe it out loud. To not keep it hidden for yourself.
I heard the birds quite a bit for a long time. It almost made me feel like I was at the beach. And then I felt a lot of physical sensations, a lot of feelings and heaviness in my feet, like it's being pulled down. And then it just lost form. And I kept feeling it. And then thoughts. And then my thoughts would come, or a narration would come, like, you know, oh, I have to do this, or something's telling me to do something, and then I breathe, and then it will go away for a while, try to sleep back. And a lot of physical sensation, that's what I felt.
Very good. You who wants to?
I have thoughts, and lots of thoughts. And trying to clear the thoughts, which is a thought. And then I was trying to hear everything, all the sounds, everything in silence itself. Might be a thought as well, I don't know. But then there was moments of giving up. And these were the best moments. And then applaud.
Great daddy. Give up.
That's the point.
See, perfect timing. And Dave, what have you observed?
It's interesting. So thoughts, decisions in general is not too much thinking.
So in a funny way, we all can somehow share the feeling of something things. Right? There's observation of thinking.
Yeah, for me, I had a lot like to realize while I was in the middle of all this thinking, like all this turbulence, to remind myself just giving up, just allowing to be a lot, you know. Like, and it made a huge difference. And actually, like, I was trying to observe it and let it flow, you know. Like, yeah, but at the beginning, like, I was listening to the birds too. Like, they were so intense, like, right? They were like my head, they were everything was in my hand, birds in it. And then, like, when all these tensions started, like, I need to move, I need to turn my life over, I felt like a release, like, my whole body was, like, this tensioning, you know, like, my face was tensioning, my mouth was tensioning, like, that felt really good. And after I had a moment when I also get caught up in thoughts, and then I did like that. And as soon as I did like that, they kind of like faded away completely, and I was like super huge again, you know. And I thought, I'm like, of course, I thought, wow, like that's so weird that I did like that. But then I realized, like I didn't do it, like my body just did it, you know. Like I was just sitting here, and suddenly, like just this act of doing it made me feel 1,000 times better. And like I didn't think before, you know. So I was like, yeah, that made me go more deeper into the idea of like just allow it, you know. And then at one point I was able to, when my body like I actually sat down, like straightened my column, I was actually able to find stability of the position. You know? Like, I felt like I could stay there for. I felt comfortable on my own body, which before was like, you know. Like, yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. That's also something, like thoughts are so involuntary. You know, if you're just allowing it, like doesn't stop. Like, and like, how can I just allow it? How can I let it run wild out there? I need to do something, I need to control it and shape it. You know what I'm saying?
Something is thinking that, right? So the same as we observe that, we all sat here and we observe that something thinks. There's something, you observe it. So immediately, let's make it clear. You are not the one thinking, because you observe that somebody is thinking, and these are the thoughts that he is thinking.
Yes, I was thinking about something like that the other day when I was like, okay, when I'm thinking about something and I'm meditating, and then something, or another part, is it another part of me that says, okay, stop thinking? Or is it just the same person that's thinking that's saying that to myself? Is it the observer that's saying that, or like I want to figure out where is the difference between the thoughts, I guess, that might come from the observer and not, you know what I mean, and just me?
If the observer thinks,
then it's not.
Is that not being observed? So is that the observer, or is that the observed, which is pretends to be observer?
Because when I realize that most of the time, like when you realize a thought, you're already conveying it, you know, you're already answering to it. Instead of like, oh, the thought, cool, silence. Ooh, you know, like, is that thought? Yes, I'm thinking that because, you know, and you already start relating that, you know, to something else. Like, you're not like, oh, is that thought? Good, I'm present.
Yeah, see, that is true. Like, there's the mind, that part which thinks, never stops thinking. Why? To keep you busy in believing whatever it thinks. The moment there's a space, right, the same as right now, to observe the thinking process, what are we doing now? We're observing what is. We're observing what is happening, and we observe that somebody is thinking. We're observing that, let's say, that somebody is mind. Mr. Mind. And Mr. Mind likes to think anything that he wants. And he likes to think a lot. And we all live with him, and the sad part, we cannot kick him out of the house. He's like an invader, which is always going to live with you. So deal with it. So now we can only, what we can do, we can only observe it. Because there's no choice about it. This is our house, we're living in it, and we're observing whatever Mr. Mind is doing. We may not like it or like it, it depends, whatever. But
then is our house and Mr. Mind is living in it, or is Mr. Mind's house and we are the house that cannot do anything, we cannot blow up, explode ourselves? Like, have make an earthquake.
I don't know. That's Mr. Mind. He may know. He's living there. And hey, say, come on, tell me, how is it there? Yeah, so you see, just by relating in such way, creating some sort of empathy for whatever is being observed is good because we do not resist it. We do not say that it should not be there. If we create an idea that thinking should not be there in awakening, you're here for a long, long, stressful, strugglesome journey. But now we're observing something else. We're observing that the Mr. Mind is thinking, and Mr. Mind even thinks that I am the observer. I'm observing this Mr. Mind. He can think that, right? So how do you know that this Mr. Mind who believes to be observer is the real observer, right? That's the question. But something observed already that. So there's already observing of that beyond and before that happened. So something even observes the observer. So meaning it's so instant that you don't even have to create a distance or look for it or see how do you tell. It's already known. Now it's already known just by seeing it. So that's how fast it is. Seeing is here. So how do you know the distance? Well, you look. That's it. And you see the distance. And here you go. You see that there's literally no distance. Then Mr. Mind comes in and says, hey, I'm here. Look at me. And if you look at him, you look what he thinks and go with whatever crazy thoughts he has, you'll have a really interesting life to observe. Let's say it in that way. Interesting, maybe not necessarily pleasant in many cases. And finally, there's a trick to the Mr. Mind, which he doesn't realize by himself, but he has a, let's say, a failure point that if he thinks too much, he drives you to observe him up to a point where he creates so much thinking and suffering in you that you start observing what is going on. The balance of thinking that he has is what's important for him to keep you interested in believing in him. If he gives you just enough pleasure to be happy and not enough suffering to think about him, you're gonna never think and even come here to this meeting. Why would you be here? You'll be living your life happily enough, not suffering enough to even think about anything. You must have something in your life that puts you here to observe this kind of energy. So Mr. Mind thought too much to a point that now you're observing it. And you say, okay, now I see you. So whatever you think, I also see. And I know that it's your thoughts, not mine. So whatever is needed to be discovered is that whatever mind thinks, this is not true. Because how can you trust that? It thinks so many things, it even thinks that you're an observer. How can you trust that kind of Mr. Mind? And you observe what is, and what is very simple. There's nothing complicated about what is. There's an observation, there's seeing, there's presence in the seeing right now of the Mr. Mind. You see it. So now, whatever he thinks, we can knock. A thought. Then you think something else? A thought. I see the Mr. Thinker. I see the Mr. Mind. And meaning, whenever you knock, it's just a reminding to yourself that you observe. You're here, you're present to observe whatever is arising. Now, does this mean that now, this is it, now since you see it, he'll never make you trust him and believe him anymore? Or can this still mean that he may have such an interesting thought that you'll forget that you're observing him? And you'll be like, oh, that's really interesting, tell me more about it. And the next thing you know, you're drinking coffee with him, and then you realize that whatever you're drinking was actually poison. And he tricked you into, again, yet another thought. And you start suffering and realizing that wasn't a good idea to believe in you. You bastard. And in such way, meaning you do not create another thought that from this moment you'll never be pulled into a thought anymore. You still allow the space and understanding that even if you see this, thinking and the thoughts can be appearing as real as this moment, momentarily, to trust that. But it can never be as real as this present moment, because this is all that there is. This seeing, this understanding, recognition that we have now is all that there is. Everything that is going to be observed, even seeing of not seeing, seeing of being deluded, seeing of being lost, is being observed. When you sat here, you saw a lot of thoughts. You thought that you were not present. Because if I'm thinking, I'm not present. That's the equivalent for the Mr. Mind to keep you busy. Now you know that you saw everything just because you're naturally present to observe everything. You have no choice. Seeing is there. So now you can simply relax into it and let it be. No, nothing to let go, nothing to achieve, nothing to claim, nothing to keep. You're free from everything. You're just enjoying being. Yeah, something like that. Now let's sit and see whoever is going to speak first, because somebody has to speak, right? And if we speak, we still remember that we're going to know to recognize this as a thought. We don't have to speak right now, obviously, because we can just be simply observing, as if we need to talk about anything, right? We observe that this is all that there is. Observing, seeing this present moment, this beingness. There's nothing more to achieve, nothing more to gain. You already are there. This instant, as I said, awakening is instant. It's only seeing what is.
I had that thought before about like being in a dream, and then you wake up from your dream, so you become lucid in that dream. But when you're awake in real life, your thoughts are your dream, and when you wake up, you know, in real life, you're waking up from the dreams of your thoughts. It's almost like it's something running in and out that's totally not real, and then you wake up in that moment, and you're like, oh, I was thinking about, why was I thinking about that? Or you become aware that you have so many thoughts in your mind. So I correlate it just like becoming lucid in real life when you stop thinking, or when you're just present in your life.
When you stop thinking, you got yourself, right? It's, yes. Well, that is true. This is how it really feels, that when you go to sleep and you have a dream and you wake up to this dream, you believe, oh, I'm awake. But we just wake up into dreaming that we're awake here. And then we live our lives until we really wake up in this life. then see that my whole life I was living a dream. Whatever this thought process was brought by this Mr. Mind, I was believing in so much that it created my reality.
Why does the mind want to create suffering? Because it's the one that thinks these things to spiral you downwards and keep you in that state. Is it so that so it's a practice that you become aware of yourself, or?
Both. In a way, the mind likes to have suffering because it keeps you interested into needing to have no suffering. So you keep working for the whole life to not suffer. Like if you suffer in your current life situation that you don't have a job or you don't have enough of what you want, you will suffer your current state enough to do something about it to become better. That's the whole game. When you come to this existence, there has to be enough suffering to create motion towards that direction. But the whole existence actually is all just about that.
I was just talking about this, the ebb and flow of the polarities, otherwise there's no movement in anything that happens here. It has to be something that the opposite of everything, for things to create a current and movement.
Have any thoughts?
Yeah. Do have a thought. The eye dies or comes close to dying. Seems to me to be still residual thoughts, but attached. It's like the eye brings me to suffering, but the other thoughts are just thoughts, pass by clouds. So, anyways, this is just kind of can the eye actually disappear 100%? It can temporarily, permanently, if that can happen more than more.
If I can disappear 100%,
Mm-hmm.
who?
When the eyes recognize all the things that are attached and suffering it causes, it's very difficult to put into words. When the eye disappears, you have silence, and you have everything that is without identity. But can that identity disappear 100%?
You would like so?
What's that?
You would like so?
No, it's just a question.
Has it been any experience of yours that it disappears 100%? Temporarily. So nothing has been 100% in this lifetime. Have you experienced anything 100%?
Permanent? No.
Yeah, so the same thing. I will never disappear 100%. It's part of this existence. It has to be here to sustain.
You can definitely
Like, weekends, like by thousands of lifetimes.
When you say I, are you talking about the ego mind?
It's probably the same thing. Ego, mind, identity.
because it's just thoughts. There's things that are attached to the identify with that. Once that goes, and suffering goes with it.
Something that like also gets me is because you see, so like this ego I is not really you, you are the observer. At the same time, when you become the observer, you have such a great power in your hands because you realize like, you know, how futile that is. And then you can play with the thoughts and make them create results in your practical life. Like And it's, you know, like the secrets and whatever and all of that. Like, have you experienced something that actually works? And I mean, we do all the time, right? Because we think, oh, I'm going to be an engineer. And then we go, we study, become engineers. So it's like what we thought became real. So like, why is this power given to the observer then? Like, isn't the observer supposed to be, in a way, interacting or like controlling the eye, you know? So if the observer like can, I don't know, you know what I mean? So that can be expressed, like that power can be expressed.
Is observer doing anything or is only observing? That's first of all.
That's what I'm, yeah, that's what I'm asking. Exactly.
Because
Is the
something-
observer supposed to do something?
Oh, observer cannot do anything, you just observe. There's no control in whatsoever involved in the observer, and you are the observer. Control is being experienced, and interaction and creating something better even is being experienced still in the mind, in the identity, in the Mr. who is living there and thinking all these things. Even that control is being experienced in that. So yes, of course, once the observation becomes clear as now that my thoughts has created this kind of reality, some different type of thoughts the Mr. Mind may think because you provided space to think differently. Before you were conditioned to observe only what has been programmed in the observation. Right now, you're open to install any other program and to observe how it runs the system. So here you go, you can, in the present moment, by merely observing what is not working, see how it can work. And you only observe, you don't do anything actually, you only observe how the Mr. Mind evolves and becomes better just because you observe it.
It's like recognizing the I as just a thought. So you feel I, you feel this identity. When you see it, it's just a thought. You no longer feel that identity, it's just a thought.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember this, it happened a long time ago.
That's unfortunately the thoughts over
When he came in today, here, he said that he was spooked out.
The first time I was spooked out.
The first time that he came, he was spooked out.
But I came back.
What is your second? Second time?
Yeah, just second time.
So I just want to actually know why we were spooked out.
Why? I felt, this is how I felt, this is how I remember I felt. Lots of struggle, or I don't know, I just felt that maybe I judged the people around me, I'm not sure, but I felt that everybody, or a lot of people who were there, they were pretending, or just, they seem all nice and fuzzy on the outside, but I felt a lot of anger and struggle and fear coming out from the armor. And this is how I felt. Maybe this is how Fanny felt a month ago or a couple months ago. So I don't know if me now was there. I don't know if we're going to do the same thing, but that's how I felt. The guy who stayed until the very end, he was remarkable. I wanted to talk to him, but I just didn't. I was shy or something. I felt that he had something interesting in him, but then the rest. This is how I felt. Just lots of suffering. But it looks nice. So that's how I remember what I felt then. Yeah.
you out?
Mm,
Too much feelings?
yeah, it's just I really like. There was this new guy who came for the first time. Ali, I think his name is.
No, it's not the first time that he has been.
Yeah. He was really suffering, I felt. And I really liked the way you dealt with him. And that's what spooked me. It's just.
I really like it, but that was spooked me out.
Yeah, I like it, but the way you contain and you're able to, again, this is my perception. I'm not because I know that what I perceive is not 100% true. So that's how I remember the feelings. His ego was so high, and he sounded like he was intellectual. He reads a lot and maybe writes a lot too. So he knows, So I tried to help him, and he kind of like. I didn't feel good when I was talking to him, even though it was nice, but I felt misery and suffering for him. But the way you contained it, I liked it, but I'm like, whoa, how can you do that? That's how I remember. And then what spooked me is if you can contain him, then what are you thinking of me? Like, you can see things,
It's running for its life.
Yeah, oh my God, I'm naked, But then I told myself that it's good to get a shake once in a while. I think it's important to shake yourself once in a while. You can't be just going one way all the time. You have to hear things you don't like. You have to face things that you're not comfortable with. And this is very helpful for you to grow. So I was thinking of coming back, and today's felt like a good idea. And I feel very comfortable today, so far. Yeah.
Are you comfortable to feel uncomfortable?
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think of what I said?
It's good. I like it.
What do you think of my perception or my memories? Like, how accurate do you think that are?
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember them in your head.
I guess I was to me.
Oh, I cannot remember anything. It's hard for me to remember what was yesterday. Uh, I like what you say because I can remember what you're saying from your words, and I can see the situation very clearly when you depict it. So I remember. I don't remember how I contained. That's the spooky part to me. Also, I don't know how does this happen. And yes, you're naked in front of me. It is so that they're seeing in which part maybe in your being is a lack of seeing, and I point to that part and encourage seeing to occur. That's it. And if somebody is suffering, there's a lack of seeing, of understanding of this, and if it so happens that this body says something to encourage seeing, it happens. It's amazing. A lot of the times, it's not necessarily going to be possible to contain anyone because they're not willing to be contained. They will run, as you say. You wanted to,
I wanted to help, but then you cannot hit me. Yeah.
because you cannot really appreciate it if you don't have, as I said in the beginning, honest heart to see what is arising. Suffering will arise. As you know, there's a lot of feelings. The intensity of experience was so great that you had to distance yourself from coming for a while.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you couldn't handle, like, it was too much. You know, one meeting, like, what happened? It's like, and then, it kind of gives space, you give some understanding, experience in what you saw. And now it's maybe time to face, as you say, something what you don't even feel comfortable with. I don't know why to not feel comfortable. Everybody seems to be nice here.
Yeah.
So, I don't seem to threaten it. Of course, and that's the best part. That there is honesty. That you know that there's some uncomfort. Then right now I can only point that this uncomfort is from the mind because it does feel uncomfortable to hear the truth. It means it's being exposed to become naked in front of you. Yes, you are naked in front of me, but what I'm telling you, watch the mind becoming naked in front of you. It's like the whole orgy here. Everybody will become naked. So undress every thought and see what's underneath.
How do you address the thoughts then? By questioning it or?
No, by watching it. I just observe it. It will undress at a certain point. Has to go to sleep, right? When you go to sleep, you don't go to sleep in thoughts. So you observe until it undresses. Everything that arises in the being, in the observation, goes back to the place where it arose.
Suffering arises, sometimes there's a attempt to escape, not deal with it, especially from alcohol and this, that, suppressing. But you have the ready to just face it 100%, suffering and not try to escape, not try to solve it, just stay with it. And other than that, opportunity to see what's causing it.
I've been there, but then
I always run. It never wants to stay here. But I don't invite I to stay here. I only allow consciousness to recognize its being. I cannot. Let I run away.
That's what I was trying to do, like allow the suffering to is there, then allow the emotions. Whatever happens just happens. But then what happens is like by allowing suffering to be there, suffering is there and much of the time, Even if I don't fight it, like if I don't take an action, suffering's gonna be sneaking in all the time. And then it's like trying to face it. But then when you look at suffering, like I try to do that all the time, I can look at the thought that I'm having, like, why are you so self-conscious? Why do you care so much about what people think about you? And then it comes a realization of like, this is such a bullshit. Like, this is so not true, such a line of thoughts, no importance whatsoever. So like, don't keep on it. Like, don't keep like, and then I try to allow it again, like whatever comes. But then suffering keeps coming. It's like, it's just suffering. It's like it's a physical feeling. You know what I'm saying? Like, weird.
So yeah, it's a weird thing to live this kind of life where even if you know the truth, even if you observe that whatever it is keeps coming. Weird, but that's how life is. Life is weird. We want it to be normal the way we believe that it's normal, and everybody's normal is different.
But do you think like it would help at all, like writing down a list of things that make you suffer, patterns of thoughts that make you suffer?
Totally.
Like, keep reading it and keep reading it, keep reading. Like,
You don't have to keep reading it, but you can totally write it down and look at it and observe. Oh, these are the patterns. So next time you actually catch it faster. If it feels in your being that this is what is efficient for you to observe and make it consciously better observation of it, yeah, go ahead, write it down. It may be a helpful thing. Is it needed? No. Is it helpful? Perhaps it could.
If you don't think it, do you suffer?
Hmm?
If you don't think it, do you suffer?
Yeah, sometimes.
If you suffer without thinking?
Didn't expect that, no.
It's just,
It's a thought.
Yeah, maybe the thought of like why I'm feeling suffering, you know, like, or, yeah,
because pain can arise.
yeah, it's pain.
Pain can arise. But usually there's thought. I don't want this, I don't want this, I think it should be this, it should be that way, this is happening, it shouldn't be that way, not suffering.
Yeah.
Which is just, it's just thought, those thoughts.
I do, and they're still, I guess, I don't know. You want to say face the thoughts, you said, right?
Oh, it's really, well, just be, and then observe.
That means
And then
you don't escape anymore. But that, yeah, I mean, that's what I normally do, like, you know, like if I'm suffering, I'm gonna sit down. Suffer, yeah, you suffer. But like, nothing comes out of it. What comes out of it? Next thing I see, I'm smoking cigarettes on the balcony. You know, that's what comes out of it. Like,
Okay.
makes sense. You haven't suffered enough. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but it's deep, like it's not even that intense. It's just like that mellow thing that stays, you know, like.
Suffering of existence.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit. Yeah.
In a way, it's we could almost say that there's a mellow, slight suffering of existence because it's tiring to exist.
Yeah.
It's tiring to have this body which is full of illness and whatnot. Of course, it's not tiring for the observer, for the mind, but there's observation of this tiring feeling. And like you could say a suffering of existence that it's always never the way you want it. Never known how it's gonna be, but anyhow you're forced to exist. You have no choice. Even if you die, you don't know. Is this really dying or this is only observation of body dying? So
nonsense.
yeah, so much nonsense, I know.
Because like there's no life circumstances to support that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what's even like, you know, there's no life circumstances to support any of this. Chemical reactions? And body chemical reactions? No. Yeah.
Only Mr. Mind supports itself by the thoughts.
Yeah.
I is only a thought. And when that is seen, well, that's a strange thing happens. I am a thought. So, but I observe that. So I'm not a thought. I only observe that thought, which is a thought. And how strange it becomes to live when you do not live in the same way as everybody else anymore, because you do not believe in any of those thoughts, because you know that this is Mr. Mind thinking. And everybody still thinks, and it's all the same. They don't understand what's wrong with you because you somehow fall out of the thinking circle. And do not think the same that I think anymore. Something is wrong with you. There must be a problem. Let's solve this. they'll help you to solve it. They'll take you for a beer or something just to make you think the same way. They'll keep you busy. Now, it's okay. You can still go for a beer. You can still go even observe the same thoughts. But still something strange is you do not believe those thoughts. Even if you go on to the same things, something is strangely different in experiencing all of it. Because you're observing all of it, not believing and living all of it. A slight difference, but makes a huge shift in the experience. In the matter of fact, it changes everything. That small thing, it's the biggest thing in the universe. So, and it's so small that people don't see it, but it's so big that people cannot comprehend it. It's actually quite a good spot. I want to write it down. Feels nice.
That's funny. Like, I say lots of stuff. You should write it down.
The truth is so small that the truth is so small that no one can see it, and it's so big that no one can comprehend it. Perfect. Feel satisfied right now. Yeah. The Savior saying.
My saying, you're saying.
I don't know what you're saying. Yeah. So let's think about something.
What's going to be the next topic?
Let's.
At the grocery store, I had that exact experience. It's like, now I get excited. Like, before I was always in a hurry, and now whenever I get have an opportunity to wait, like if someone or somebody stands me up or whatever, I get excited. Like, so I told her I had to wait. And so I was in line at the grocery store, and then there was this old lady. And before I would meet too, I was in her old lady's there, and she's trying to pay with her card. But there's some problem with the banking thing or something, and so it's just they're trying to explain it to her. She's like, "Oh well, I have." And anyways, as soon as this was interview was on, and the lady in front of me started shaking. Like there's three of us, and she started shaking, and she ended up paying for that lady's groceries because she couldn't wait. So fine, just pay it, go. But, oh, why would you do that? So I didn't eat pretty good. I could eat. Of course, there's no good deed in that, right? Which is, but anyway, my point was, see, I didn't see a person there. I saw mine. Hesitating mine, not a person.
Yeah.
And this was just like the shell of the body, and the mind was.
Yeah. This is where it becomes fun because you observe that people are not people. People are only mind constructs functioning in a programmed, conditioned way to serve the society in the way that some people who think a little bit better designed to function. So there's no people in this world, there's only the mind thinking different things.
At the same time, the experience that we create for ourselves, that the observer created for themselves. Has to be a reason we have to interact with that so much. I think.
But today it seems to be opening up very easily, and in no long time of nonsense speaking, we came to conclusion very easily. It's not like there's a mass and a load to talk about more about this. We can talk many more thoughts and stuff, but no big need in my part to talk about thoughts. You can observe and get insight of what is being observed, and get the moment of which is nice. But what to think about more? I don't know. You suggest me. What do you want to think about now? What do you feel is worth and deserves your energy and attention to be thought about? Is there any thought more important than your being? Than your being?
You mean at the moment?
Well, if there's any other moment, I want to see that one. I don't know any other moment at this moment. So. I like what I hear. So we're looking for the most important thought in the whole universe. Can you help us to find it?
The most important thought in the universe.
We're having a hard time. We're kind of looking and looking, but all that we get is silence. So that is bad. I'm just wondering, maybe you have anything more than this stuff. Maybe you have any more important thought than we came up with. Because we.
What are the thoughts you came up with so far?
What are the thoughts that we came up with? Exactly.
That's my thought.
Okay. Good. So we're all sharing the same thinking here.
It's so uncomfortable right now. So uncomfortable.
Oh,
Huh? Why am I uncomfortable? I'm getting super self-conscious of myself again.
Super self-conscious. This is when that happens, then it's becomes uncomfortable.
Actually, just saying that feel good.
No, it feels even worse. Like, I'm shaking right now. Like I feel like I feel like I'm excited. So. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I had to say it.
So what to do now?
How do I do now? Good question. Breathe.
Do you have to do it or it just happens?
Laugh.
Do you have to do that one? Or it just happens?
okay, most important thought in the universe.
We found out. Let's get ready for this. Hold on.
Yeah, That's why
I
I'm
drive.
self-conscious. I'm like, try it, and like my mind is like telling me, look how egoic the thought is. My mind is telling me that what he said is about me. You know what I'm saying?
That's what it is. It's about all of us. It's about you.
Oh, there.
How to kill the eye?
This is the most important thought.
I know. How to kill the eye?
By who wants it?
It's the same.
Because see, if we endeavor in this kind of question, you have to understand that something must want to kill the eye. Something is unsatisfied with the eye, who doesn't want the eye. So why not to kill that one? Why not to kill the eye who wants to kill the eye? Because that eye is ultimately the eye that he wants to kill.
That's good. How to kill it?
By letting him be. He gonna kill himself? He's suicidal anyway.
Yeah. One of the books we brought back, they had in there. The eye is the first thought, followed by a bunch of other thoughts. And it's, I can never remember these guys' names because I don't know, but it's Sri Ravana. And it was ask who that thought's arising to. And then also the question.
So is this what helps to kill the eye?
According to that.
Oh, it could be. So, did you try? Did you try?
I see it by severe suffering. But maybe not everybody has that experience. When some guy weighs 70 pounds and is wearing a diaper, you want to listen to what he says. That was just a picture on the cover. It's some famous.
Yeah, you could listen to that guy. Yeah, you could imagine.
So would you really want to kill the eye? Is that not part of who you are in a reading? Like, so you're not really accepting or just observing?
See, this is the funny thing. The desire to kill the eye what keeps the spiritual game going.
Yeah. I think killing the eye sounds too aggressive. Killing the eye. It's like you're against the whole idea or thought.
Well,
Sounds like thought.
if you, no, absolutely, you said. Like the very first question today, we were talking about taking hallucinated drug in order to gain light. And so then it was like, okay, instead of taking that to get enlightenment, maybe it's better to understand who wants to gain.
That makes sense.
That's quite funny. So we're talking about I, and I was the problem, so we wanted to kill him. And how to kill him, and then if we want to kill him, is that not the whole issue with him existing? So technically, initially, this is what arises in the observation, that initially we want to kill him because we recognize that this is the guy that I don't want to live with. So initially, we all feel that way. It may feel that way for a long time, that you'll try to sharpen many knives and stab him from the back. Use different methods to kill it. And it's likely will not work because he seems to resurrect faster than you can kill him. If that makes any sense, then that's the best defense. But any attempt to kill him gives him life. Any attempt to kill the mind provides its life. Meaning, the more attention you give to get rid of it, the more you allow the idea that it is here. Actually and experientially, this moment, is it here?
Sounds fascinating.
It may come and go. We are here, fully present, watching everything. We, us, as I, the consciousness, the awareness itself, as the one whole entity, not separated. We're not separated from each other here. There's seeing, there's observation. We all share the same quality. Each one of you don't have a different color observation, different weight, different sound observation. It's observation. It's all the same. We all are one in an observation. We observe different things, different body, but we observe. That's one and the same thing between all of us.
Like that. That's the, without wanting to, when the eyes observe, without any effort whatsoever, and once it's seen, then it can naturally extinguish itself without doing it.
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay, go ahead.
So, all that he said is bullshit. I believe him. Oh, yeah. By the way, all that I say is bullshit. Never believe in me. But yeah, don't believe him. No, I don't know what he said. First of all, I didn't listen. I don't care what he says. I don't, actually, I never really care what anybody says because it's not important. Whatever you have to say is not important. Whatever you are is more important. Whatever you have to say is not equally as important as what you are. You don't have to say anything to me, and if you come and just be with me without saying anything, I will not say to you, hey, come on, don't be awkward. Speak something, to keep this moment going. No, be with me. I'm happy to be with those who know how to be. Those who only know how to talk about being and how good they are in being and how achieved in being they are. I don't want to sit in their company. They're too busy on trying to be. I'm happy to be, and they're so busy in trying and being, so I don't like to sit around them. And those people who come here find that they somehow are prone to like to be more than to try to be. Because if you come here and you want another tool or something to add to your equipment box, how to be better, how to become or whatnot, I do not offer that. I only reflect what you bring. And if you brought being, here you go, that's what you see. Your own being, being in peace, being in freedom. If you brought thoughts, you see thoughts. So I'm empty for your own seeing. You're looking at yourself. It may sound spooky, freaky, or whatever. You're literally looking at yourself. By paying your attention to this observation, you're only observing the self. There's nothing else but the self.
Interesting.
No, it's not something that you get to talk about every day. Or many people don't talk about it anyway because they don't find it interesting.
It's not about interesting, it's about scary.
It's scary.
Yeah.
Mm.
At that moment, I find it interesting.
When it becomes scary, you find it interesting.
But then, no, because you're saying other people are not interested. I don't know, maybe I'm just judging here. But if you're not interested in something that, because this is very interesting. You're not interested in something that's very interesting, that means that you're scared of it. This is just,
In a way, in a way,
I don't know.
in a way, it could be so.
Words are just coming out here. I'm not,
Of course, I cannot help also. This is all coming out. I cannot stop it. It's not only interesting when you say this. It's the interest is in something else to avoid the fear. To pay attention to this, because truthfully, when you pay attention to this, as you say, you didn't come back because it was too much. It was spooky even. There's some sort of fear even to face this may have been there because you don't know how interesting it will get. Right now it's getting interesting and maybe there is some little fear, but there is enough comfort to live with that and even to not know however it's gonna go or whatever is happening right now even, it just feels to be interesting. And this is, I agree, this is the most interesting thing for me also. I cannot find anything more interesting in the whole world than this. So for my own interest, I may continue doing these kind of things for the rest of my life because I have nothing more interesting to do.
So I find myself here.
Some people come here every week, some people come here sometimes, and then they disappear for a long time and they appear again. It's, we cannot. And those who come here and tell that they're gonna come back, they never come back. Because the mind wants to lie about it. The mind wants to say, even if it didn't like it, it wants to be polite because you want to be a polite person. You want to keep a person in front of me. But I already know that when you say that you're not gonna come back, that you won't. That you're gonna come back, that you won't. I already know who's speaking in that moment. He believes that I don't know that he's lying to me. That he's gonna come back. It's very obvious that some people are just masking up their fear to come back because I showed something what they didn't want to see. They were not ready perhaps to see it. And it's okay if you're not ready, don't look this way. You'll get afraid. more to face, more to come to look at and to become honest with. Because honestly you really have to face yourself. Maybe you've been an asshole or some sort of evil and not a nice person, arrogant. Maybe you will observe many qualities that you don't like it in the self that you have, and it becomes scary, and you may become afraid that, my gosh, I'm living with this kind of person for my whole life, and this kind of person doesn't feel necessarily pleasant to live around. So how can other people live with it? In that moment, it may be scary, but then it's also a comforting fact that I'm watching this, meaning it's an opportunity now for this to change. First step, of course, the fear comes to initiate a response to not look this way, for it to sustain its identity. But as soon as it's comfortable enough to look at it, it observes that there's a potential for the change, or potential for the shift, potential for the anything to happen. Because you're present, you're not living conditioning anymore. You're not living the past, the future, the whatever else is being thought. You're not living thoughts anymore. When you eat, how many people eat and watch TV at the same time while eating, or do something? So you can just eat how many people eat their thoughts instead of their food? Even breathing, how many people breathe in the air instead of the thoughts? Many instances you may find yourself walking and you're like, oh, or where am I? Didn't you notice how you got there? Because a thought was so immensely powerful to take your attention so deeply that you do not even see where you're walking. You don't even see your surroundings. You only find yourself after the thought ends. And isn't that freaky? That something is living your life and you don't even observe in some instances whatever it does. And right now that's not the case. Right now I have full observation, complete. Nothing is being missed. But these moments are something that we can all share. It's not them pulling out of anyone's pockets and say, this is how it is. Nobody knows this kind of moment because it happened. A thought was so immensely strong and powerful to make everything disappear and only it to be there. Your friends may be all around you, and the whole party may be going all around you, but if somebody hurt you, you will not even hear the music. You'll not even hear the music. You'll hear the pain inside of you. You'll hear the thoughts or whatever. But nothing outside will exist until somebody from outside world will come and tap you on the shoulder and go, oh, yeah, you've been there sitting for hours. Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know. Thoughts are powerful illusion which persist to be observed instead of this. Instead of simply observing this. Because the simplicity in this is that it's beyond even simple. There is nothing, as I said, nothing to gain, nothing to achieve, nothing to keep. I'm handing you nothing. Try to keep nothing. And if you are able to observe whatever is here presented tonight, it's likely that in your being there's already enough space to relate and recognize that perhaps this is not all bullshit. Perhaps I experience, at least if it's not the same, something similar. It doesn't have to be the same. Your experience is different from mine. Perhaps your experience will expand in some certain aspects and increase in abilities. You don't know. There's potential for everything. Because now you're open. There's no conditioning. No space for anything to happen. For the natural flow to go. There's nothing in the way to prevent it. If a thought comes up and like, look at that thought. I see it. So it's not like it can stop the flow. If you throw a stone into the river doesn't stop flowing. It says, oh, stop, it's too much stones in the river. Unless you have to build a huge dam to really prevent the river from flowing. But we do. We will build a huge dam to create a stop in the flow. And we'll believe that this is all that it is. There's no more than this. Until it breaks. And when it breaks, usually it breaks with a force. An intense force. And then, like, flashes so much that it's impossible to stop at that moment. So if in your being it so happens that there's a break, that there's flow of experiences that are unsuspected and unexpected, it's okay. You don't know what to expect. You came to observe that there was a dam built, and now you see that it actually any moment can break. The flow is now again being released. So you don't know how intensely your flow is going to be manifest. You may go and sit under the tree for the rest of your life, and that's how intense it can be for you. Or you may be going and accomplishing the most crazy things in the world, which will be contributing for its involvement. Or what, you don't know. Nothing is planned in a way that you can know. You can only observe what's going to happen because it happens. So it becomes interesting. You start observing that life, after all, is an interesting movie. And you never know what's the ending. So you always keep excited. Can't wait for the ending. Many people are afraid of the ending because they feel that there's something really gonna end. But when the movie ends, there's another movie to watch. So maybe this movie has a happy ending, which we believe that will be a sad ending. A scary ending. Maybe there's a continuation, a second part. Life too. Maybe there's a trilogy, who knows? How many lives is there?
Sharknado 3.
Yeah. If Sharknado can have 2 parts, life can be life can be 2 parts also. Come on. It's got to be more than one. Yeah, so I'm happy that you came and you got to see what's awaiting for you in the retreat.
So pretty much like every week you guys kind of have a conversation and just talk and be open.
Just relax like this, see what happens. He's coming to the retreat, she's coming to the retreat also. So you
My
already know.
girlfriend is coming up from Canada. She wants to come, but she couldn't come to this, right?
Oh, so yeah, she can actually still sign up. There's
Okay, perfect.
yeah. So if you let her know, she can sign up.
Okay.
Perfect. So we'll have a nice bunch of people who are able to laugh at this nonsense. Because I didn't see anything serious that we talked about today, but it may be felt important and felt in a different ways in your being. It may be peaceful, it may be calming, it may be freeing, it may be shifting. It doesn't really matter whatever way it's felt. The fact of the matter is there's an experience. And when I come here, I do not have any interest to provide a concept to take out. I'm only here to provide a space where you can bring an experience in your life which will shape your life from now on. Concepts, there's many people offering concepts and full booklets and seminars, and they can sign up for concepts. It's always there. In here, it's only experience, and the experience shifts and differs moment to moment. Whenever people gather here, we have different people. You don't know who is sitting here, you don't know who is loving concepts and who is not. So sometimes you observe that some people really love concepts and they hold on to them intensely, and they cannot sit the way we sit right now. Because the love for concepts is too strong. The concept is too important to observe what is being observed right now. Quite frankly, concepts are not as important for us because we just like to observe this. We like to be happy in this observation, and we don't really feel that any more concept is needed to be observed. You're free from a need to observe anything more than this. And how good is that? When you're free from a need towards anything. In that moment, you can say, like, I I want to want. I just like to want. I'm happy to want. It's okay just to want. I have experience of wanting and it's enough. I want to have an island in Philippines where I can create this kind of meetings and have the whole island for this kind of purpose. I want it. Yeah, why not? And I want it big. Why to want small? I want my own island. Yeah, why not? And it's fine because you're able to want anything. And will I get it? I don't know. I'm happy to want it. It's enough. I'm not suffering from the want. I do not suffer the want to be pleased. I'm just wanting enough. So you can experience even a wanting for a different type of life if you don't have a life that you right now have. You can experience even wanting for it, but you are not experiencing attachment to please that wanting. So you become free from the suffering.
Yeah.
So just by observing, by understanding, everything comes to clarity. And initially, confusion may be also there because you don't know what did you observe, what happened, what's so different. You're kind of confused. It's not like anything different. It seems everything the same, but it seems everything different also. What to make out of this?
How is it going to be on the retreats? Are we going to have activities or?
Yeah, we'll have some activity. There's some labyrinth we can walk. There's some. I'll bring bubbles. Yeah.
Papers, children.
And we're gonna bring. They have like things to pancakes, like good kitchen.
Yeah, they have like a full like restaurant type of kitchen. Yeah.
Do we have to bring sleeping bags and?
Oh no, there's bags and beds and everything. There's sheets.
Food.
Yeah, just food and beds.
Just have food and bed. Is there like a carpool or anything going on?
Some people may have. I think in the registration, some people said they have. I'll announce later on. I have to clarify how many people and who are going exactly, and then I'll ask who's with a car or not. And maybe.
Is it near the ferry?
It's actually very easy to get with a bus also. If you go with a bus to Horseshoe Bay, you take a ferry and then you walk up the hill and on the first turn to the left, you turn to the left and there's immediately turn to the right, going uphill and there's a thumb to hitchhike. So you can stand there, put your thumb and you'll be picked up within 5 to 10 minutes and they'll bring you all the way up because it's on the top of the hill.
There's actually a sign that shows a phone.
Yeah, it's for you to hitchhike. So people actually that nice there that they even say, hey, you can stand here, hitchhike. People pick up here.
Interesting.
And it's a very friendly place. Even if there's no carpooling, it's the most easy thing to get from there. Or we'll see what's gonna happen closer to the date of what happened last time when we were already there.
You can always, because people
Come-
have a car.
Come down and pick up.
Yeah. So
Yeah, just go over the ferry and stay maybe at the bottom there. People will come down and pick it up. That's what happened last time.
Which one is it Gabriella? Gabriella?
Bowen.
Oh, sorry, Bowen.
We're going to speak, right? So it's going to be a silent retreat.
You wish.
I could.
We have to have a section where if you're gonna have silent, section of people who are
Yeah, because I wanted to have it more silent last time also. It didn't really work. Nobody wants to be silent. And it's not like the people going to benefit much more because I'm not proving or trying to install the idea that silence is better than everything else. Of course, I prefer to have silence because it's introspection to the self-observation is mainly of the self, other than speaking and other thoughts. So I'll have likely parts which will be asked to be silent, and we'll have parts which is going to be communal, like cooking, having meetings, or like eating. Maybe we'll have like where we all can talk and stuff. But when it's on your own, it's supposed to be time on your own, not to talk with somebody. It's about experiencing yourself deeper, and that's why the silence is encouraged. I know many people don't keep it, but I don't bother. It's not my experience that they're playing around with. They get there for their own experience, not to please me in can say, nah, experience. You experience whatever you want there. Everything is good. Nobody will miss out on anything.
We're gonna have guided walks, meditative walks.
Yeah, I guess I have to do something. Manifest that way. I'll try.
Does somebody go to yoga or something?
Oh yeah, my cousin will do yoga in the mornings. Offers yoga in the morning, so that's
Cousin.
yeah. She's coming from Mexico.
Whoa. You talked about your cousin last time.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I come on the weekend? Actually.
I mean, it's not on the weekend. It's 10, 11, 12, which is
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
yeah.
Oh.
If you come on sorry,
Why is it not?
because weekends are booked years in advance,
Oh.
and that's the only space that was available, and I took it. You can come on Thursday day if you can stay. You can stay there during the day and just do nonsense with us and enjoy. Because that's the main day pretty much. If you come during the day, why not?
It's like Wednesday afternoon?
Yeah.
The arrival at 12?
Like 1, they say 3, but I didn't want to say 3, so I said 1.
1, and then you get like 1 on Friday?
Yeah. Last time I had, I think,
Yeah, so it's
one
like
more
2
day.
2 days.
Yeah. Yeah. Last time I had one more day, I think, or 2 more days. So that's longer treat. So it was more fun. As if there's something more out of it, but yeah. But we'll see. You know, so if people like it, I may do a retreat if possible just before leaving. So, you know, cannot promise anything.
Yeah.
But in the end, I'll do a retreat in Philippines likely.
Right?
In Philippines, in some resort.
Oh
Coconuts and stuff.
no.
And my island there.
I'll go lose
Yeah.
there. And also for judging there.
Well, no, well, I'll invite you to come.
Oh, I wish.
I'll see you in the Philippines.
Very good.
Sure.
He is
How
also
are you
interested.
going for?
Indefinitely.
I sent you an email a long time ago. You had mine. It's about the immigration. Do you remember?
About Philippines or?
No, like Canada actually. They had this new law about citizenship. I don't know if you apply for citizenship or something like that.
My
You
goodness.
have to prove that you intend to stay in Canada, and it doesn't sound like a good. If you want to have a citizenship, it doesn't sound like a good choice to leave for a year or so in the Philippines while your papers are getting processed. Thanks to me. When I read this article, I remembered you. So I sent you the article right away. So we never replied or did.
I don't remember.
I just remember that right now because you're saying going to the Philippines, so it came out to me.
Yeah, you should send it.
That's why it's scary.
You should send it again. I should send it to Maya to read it. Because she just sent her
I mean, it's
application.
not her.
So you can send it again if you find it.
I read it.
But
Yeah, the time came out.
either.
But right now, the law is like for 6 years of residency, you have to stay in Canada for. So you can leave and like come back as long as during 6 years, you didn't spend more than 2 years away.
Yeah, it should. No matter what happens, I don't ultimately care.
But they're thinking of changing and making it harder and stuff.
Yeah, of course. They always think to make things harder.
Yeah.
Never simpler.
Imagine in the 70s, the immigrants must be like, oh, it's so hard to immigrate to Canada. And now we're like, oh, it's so much harder. It used to be so easy.
In 70s, get on a boat. That's it. You land here.
Yeah. But they must have had that process of papers.
Of course, but after you're here, probably.
Yeah, right? Right.
They will not say go back on your boat because the boat is really not there.
Go back in your boat. Don't say that.
I think they did that. first East Indian that came on a boat, and then they sent it back. They have their flows in the waterfront, actually, by the that.
Did they send them back, or did they just told them go back, but there was no boat?
Yeah, they told them to go back because the law. It's actually, so the law says that you have to come from your country directly. You can't pass by any transit or connection or any stopping point before coming. So this was designed because the only people who would come without stopping would be the Europeans because they're the closest. So they say the law was designed to just bring Europeans and nobody else. So when the first East Indians came, there was like 200 or 300 East Indians. Because they were part of the Commonwealth, so they had the right to come to Canada, because Canada is part of the Commonwealth. So they came, and they realized they stopped in a few places before coming, so they sent them back.
And then they, would go with their boats to Vancouver Island, find a little island there. Can't see it now.
There's always a solution. You can find in one of those islands.
Do you think it was really like the way you see in the museums, those huge canoes when you first came?
Not canoes, probably. You have to go to the ocean. Scary things happen on the ocean. You need some actual boat. You need some actual boat.
But were they made of wood, hard, with sands and kind of stuff?
Yeah, like the Ark of Noah, that will withstand like everything.
I don't know, maybe I would miss that. I actually didn't consider if this happens with somebody's mind, somebody wrote a book, maybe it happened in my
Lots of good stories.
Lots of really good stories, and they look so real, and they tell us something to And so Saturday morning waiting.
Oh, cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
Are they open?
Yeah, it's Friday, Saturday there. So,
What is it, a coffee shop?
it's like a French coffee, pastry, and like sandwich type of place. So if you're hungry after, we can go to say, actually, where's the time? We're not talking about anything in particular, as I see. We're just hanging out, which is nice. That's the whole point. We didn't come here to talk about anything in particular. We talked the particularity so particularly that there's nothing to talk about anymore.
It's interesting how
I like this one. This was a nice meeting. It was easy to relate to everyone. Everybody surrendered on their own will. Yeah, easily and relaxed into this. So it's nice. It doesn't feel like they have to. Oh, memories, of course. There's different memories than right now, but it's right now you can only have memories. Whatever you're having now is a different experience.
Yeah.
So, I enjoyed it very much actually, so I'm grateful for everybody who came and shared their presence to allow this kind of meeting to happen. Because without you, I have no idea how this happened anyway. I just sit myself silently, happily, and no problem with that. But I'm always happy with people bringing different energy, which allows this to manifest in a slightly different way, for us to reflect, to observe in a different perspective. And that allows you to relax and to enjoy your own being much more than before. That's great. Mission accomplished. So we won the game. How many lives did you lose to win this game? How many more do you want to lose? So imagine those people who literally believe so hard that there's so many lives still to go to come to this simple knowing. There's so much practice that you still have to do to come to this simple knowing. Like you must be suffering deeply to love that kind of pattern so much. Because I myself I could not imagine even like not talk about 5 years, 5 minutes to even practice a mantra which I don't even understand what it is. Well, first of all, in my mind, what's the point? Even there is why to practice something that you don't understand.
Just remember Dean was saying about that monastery or something, where you allowed to meditate for 10 years or something, right? They had to learn all this books and knowledge, language, and everything before they're even allowed to think about it.
And there's in India, our friend, he went there recently and he went to a monastery somewhere where people are not allowed to meditate for 10 years before they learn all the books prior to the meditation. And the meditation is not encouraged. It's actually, they do maybe 2 to 5 minutes a day. Yeah. So they keep reading, keep studying, keep doing some crazy practice maybe, but never just stay silent and observe. And enlightenment is not even in question because it's so far away from.
That's really, they said, the Dalai was almost at the first stage.
And there's
So he
5
has to get
stages.
there. There's 5 stages, almost at the first stage. So if he can't get there, how can anyone?
So you see how much belief is held into some persona, into some structure, which is believed to be awakened. Now, is he awakened? It's not a matter of a question. You ask that for yourself. I don't have to say that anything.
Yes, that's the whole point of the monastery. Keep people on the search to a point that they won't believe they will ever get there, so they will be content on searching. And then they'll find contentment by the search.
Yeah, if you can find contentment by the search, that's the problem. When you search too long,
Because maybe even those students, they have the idea, they know they won't get there because it's like,
actually that's true. Like they still keep searching even if they believe that they will get it. That's strange. Why would you do that?
Because of the then I guess this gives them the security to just keep going, just keep doing.
Or maybe they believe that next life I can be closer to this life. That
Yeah.
much meditation and that much practice. Yeah, maybe. Because I wouldn't, personally, I have no reasoning why would I choose something that wouldn't give me what I'm looking for. Practice for this lifetime, just in the next lifetime, to maybe have a chance to be closer to enlightenment. Does that sound encouraging? Who wants to sign up for this retreat?
Anybody have any
It's strange world. I keep getting amused, like as you said, standing in front of the lady in the grocery store, which gets so frustrated, and you see the mind, literally the mind acting. So amusing to see this mind of spirituality, which protects itself so strongly by the concepts. And if you question any particular aspect of the spirituality where they keep as this is true, they'll get back at you with such force as if you try to kill them. I am not allowed to be questioned. I already know the truth. How can you even dare to question me? Because there's people like that. And do you think people who believe that they awaken and they're giving all these awakening practices, practice this will increase your awakening, whatever they give you there, this nonsense. Do you think if you ask them same questions that we're asking here, would they admit in such exact honesty that you had coming here? My feeling is that it's very hard to even imagine that they would come to the same experience that you came here because they're not honest with themselves. They only believe that there is somewhere that they have something which deludes them even more.
It sounds like you're judging.
Of course, it does sound like judgment, but it's also only an observation, a direct, clear observation which appears as judgment.
But you're generalizing. You're not really talking about a certain person.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a whole group,
Yeah.
and you're just, but it's not accurate.
Well, I cannot make it accurate because there's too many people to include in this. I'm just saying that my main field of spirituality is about consciousness. There's a whole field of spirituality.
I also feel that there's something on this search, you know, because now we are in the point of like, oh, there is no search, it's already here. But there's something on the search that's like, well, I'll never get there. It's far too hard. It's far too far, you know? And then that's like gives us a sense of, well, right now I'm doing the best I can. So that's why I go to a monastery and we spend 30 days. Like, you know, I may not get there, but now I'm doing the best I can, and that gives you a peace of self. No.
Of course, any way to improve that state that you have now, even if it means going to a monastery for 30 days, if it will improve your state at least better, it does a little better, of course you'll do it. It gives something, but it doesn't give the complete image. It gives something. Meditation, monasteries, all the practices, I'm not saying that any single practice should not be practiced. No, everything that is there for a reason. For you to get frustrated with the practice, maybe for you to get frustrated with something, but it's okay to be there. It's all to be observed in the experience that consciousness goes through these experiences to know itself and to know that it's not needed of those experiences, that it's free from those experiences. Momentarily, it may seem that this practice is needed, that I need to bring my attention to my breath to feel calm. Momentarily, you keep doing that until it's observed even this is not needed. Momentarily, you feel that I need to keep myself from thinking, to keep myself in this moment to not think. Momentarily, you feel that this is important to keep your attention out of the thoughts. In the end, you'll see that even this is not needed. Thoughts come and go. If you don't look at them, they don't really appear as obvious. Maybe this in the background, like, oh, there's some thoughts I think they hear behind. You don't even want to look at them. What's so interesting in them? If it arises and it feels I'm so important, look at me, and I'm like, oh wow, you're so important. that's it. It's easy when you don't have any interest to make it hard for yourself. It's because right now you can enjoy it. If you want to struggle, you can do that also. Free to do whatever you want. I just allow the space to enjoy. And I always try to tell people before leaving, try to lose this. Try to forget everything. Try to get rid of all that you heard and all that you not know in your being, in your experience. Try to just erase it if you can.
Why?
If you can.
Why do you say that?
Because they can't. I want them to see that they cannot do it.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
If it has a real effect, it's not going to
Yeah. So that's the whole point. For them to see that, okay, I cannot really, it's there, it's just there. I cannot get away from it anymore. So when I leave, it's just there. I cannot shake it off. I cannot do anything. It remains. It's part of my being because experience means it's part of your being. The concept is part of your head. But when concept becomes experience, it's already part of your being. When you're taught how to tie your shoes, there's a concept to the motion and everything is shown to you. But when this concept comes to an experience, you don't keep thinking how to tie your shoes. There's already experience in you to allow that effortlessly to happen. So now there's an experience of seeing, of observing, which you don't have to do anything. You can just allow that effortlessly to take place as it always does. then Mr. Mind is gonna be a funny guy to observe. He's gonna entertain you, and you can enjoy the show. Till its next appearance and see how quickly he changes costumes and faces and surroundings and scenery, everything, just to keep you interested in watching him.
Right, I am gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, and I thought maybe it's like boring, like, extended dimension, like gorgeous is beautiful, being amazing is beautiful, maybe gorgeous is being amazing boring. That's what I thought when I had Brandon gorgeous.
Mr. Mind, what are you thinking?
Right?
See, like, well, I don't think anything. Just to think.
Just a thing. Yeah.
Well, that's fine. You see, we're experiencing it in freedom. So even if it thinks, we don't have a problem with it. We don't say, okay, that's not good. You should be ashamed of your thought. You should not think what you're not behaving. Practice more presence. No, there's other thoughts. What a stupid thought. We laugh at it. It's funny. And then here you go. It's done. The thought is not there. It's observed. It's completed. So it seems like this is the end of this movie. Does anyone want to sit and do nothing? And pretend to meditate and be in a special exercise of achievement of something? If anyone wants to do that, let's do it. We have some rings, things, and they create a nice being for a few minutes, and then we can allow whatever be.
Like that thing. Spin back.
Oh, it's so powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to take it, Daddy. Just enjoy it. Don't think about it, don't.
Master.
You're honored. So look, somebody joined us for the last moment.
Someone showed up.
Yes, enjoy our being here.
Can you see the
I was
person?
actually thinking, after all the things I said on the last meeting, after I said that, I remember that whoa,
This is cool. The lights reflected back on this.
I'm like enlightened way.
so which,
Enlightened highway.
should I
Let's
That's why I like this.
music out of it, or the other side? Yeah, it's just that, it's this side, right? On the other side? I don't know which side. Yeah, on the outside.
Somehow happened today.
There you go, it's like, right there.
Okay. Okay, somebody was watching, keep watching us. We're doing a meditation here, as you see. It's very seriously meditating. And so, yeah. With the other one.
So don't stop the vibration.
With the other end.
This one?
Yeah, with the other end, just bang. With the, don't hold your fingers there. Yeah, that side, just bang. Yeah. Yeah, of course, take it down. No. Just bang and that's it. Yeah, and with that side that you're holding, you don't need to bang it, just touch it and start going around. Going around for quite some time. Yeah. You don't have to do it now, you can just let the sound be. Hey, this is the best meditation ever. So yeah, if you want to just create one ongoing sound, just bang it with this end. Yeah, you can outside or inside, whichever. Just bang it and then leave it. Yeah. Just let it be, and no, don't touch it. Now, if you want to touch it and create a different sound, flip it upside down, and don't bang it. Just start going around and go for quite some time. Yeah, yeah, touch it and go for quite some time. Yeah, so now.
Like the marshmallow crossing by.
Is that what it's supposed to be?
Yeah, just you have to go around.
Without touching?
No, touching.
I can never do this.
You don't have to. You don't have to bang it.
No.
Keep the on.
I guess I'll have to show it eventually. I tried to escape it from the show. Magic dust.
Egyptian style. Okay. So are we serious now?
Are we serious now? Oh yes, we are. I've waited the whole time. The more serious. Yeah, so if you want to play with it, you can play with it the way you want. I'll show you. Just.
What?
I know. I'll show you how to do it in a cool way. Do it. That's learned already. Okay, so that's simple, and then you can of course. Create different sounds. Now this part, which is the toughest to learn, is the easiest to do. Cool stuff, huh? Skill.
The road is
You don't have to make it faster. You have to just be gentle and present with it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just be present with it.
Yeah, you're trying, so that doesn't work. Just go slowly and go around. No, slowly. And just go slowly. Yeah. And be always touching the. Yeah.
So you have to hold it very close.
No. If you hold it loose, it starts shaking in the edge. So you can hold it slightly, pushing it into the side.
And make sure you keep it on.
That one's pretty hard. So you can't really do it like that?
Yeah, that's the harder one.
And you have to keep it.
But that one is good for the ones who feel that they have to make it work. So they get frustrated because we cannot make it work.
The place making is annoying.
It's vibrating it in another spot. Like you.
Actually, I have a book I was brought also from India about how to use all of these things. I should read it. Wherein brought it. You know, the book on how to use singing bowls. I should read how to learn, and then I'd say a course on how to use singing bowls in presence.
Okay, this is making things
I was going to say, that was really good. You can do the official, whatever that is at the retreat.
Well, if you come on Thursday.
I don't think it'll happen, to be honest, but.
Well, to be honest, anything can happen.
Yeah.
You never know.
No, let's not say that. That means I'm not gonna talk about scary.
You don't know. Maybe your job will say, hey, you'll have Thursday off.
Yeah. That's a gentle, nice talk.
You never know. I wasn't going to go on the retreat for months because I had a friend visiting from China. They canceled.
The whole time I knew that he's coming. That's it.
Talking about it makes it free.
Yeah, you never know. Next week you go into your boss and say, you know what, cannot work on Thursday. Sorry, it's important. And because this is important, this is the most important thing ever. So,
I'm in charge of the singing bowl. I must be there.
you see, there's no limitation to your being, and you don't know how. Since now you're gonna leave through those doors, you don't know what you're gonna do. You don't know what your body will say to your boss. So you don't know when you're gonna sign up for the retreat. No, actually, de-hypnotizing you because you're being hypnotized by the conditioning and programming. I just pull you out of it and show the truth, show the hypnosis.
Once you let go of whatever thought comes, then manifest itself.
You know, in the Egyptian tradition, there's the belief that people can be in more than one place at once. So maybe I'll practice that.
There you go.
Yes, that's a good belief, but I'll see you physically also.
I will see that.
See, there's someone. She just learned.
Yeah, no. Hey, you don't have a new thing.
Can I do only that?
See, right now there's people who want to enjoy their presence in a matter of drinking, in a matter of partying, in a matter of unconscious. Yeah, you could. They're still there. So there's people who love to enjoy themselves in that way. And we sit here playing with the balls, just as happy. On the Friday night, that's the party going. So,
You know, it's going to be raining. They say it's going to be raining. I don't want to ruin it for you, but.
well, if it's raining, it's even better. We're gonna stay inside and next to each other.
Yeah.
It's cozy.
Yeah. There's a fireplace and everything. It's nice.
Oh, I hate
Oh no, you know,
like,
oh, yeah, actually. See, whenever people say that, first of all, they will come back, they're lying. I know that. Whenever they say that they hate me, I know that they're lying because they love me.
I love you.
Now he's being honest.
I cannot do it.
Can I do it? It's too much.
I haven't tried it yet.
Oh, we're still this is still meditation going. I was like, that's what I keep forgetting. Somebody's still watching us, so you probably meditate with us still. I'm happy. It's good like that. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's actually a good thing. Can you play it and can you feel it? Put your hands on top and feel it. Actually play.
My mind is not doing it.
It's so senseless. Maybe actually you're entitled. You're only entitled to feel it if it's on you. So it has to be a personal experience. Oh yeah, this is the tough one. So you have to bang this a little first, like, and then start going. Yeah. Go, yeah, doing it.
Well, I can do it again.
Nice. So you must be in our retreat. You know all the tools already. So I'm happy to see that you're coming. He still believes that he's not coming and he's saying no, but we know differently. We can.
But I appreciate the sentiment.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll see. No, nobody knows what's gonna happen. I'm happy.
I hope it's not a bad thing.
It's always good.
Because I go through my jobs. I perceive it to be a bad thing.
Yeah, that which perceives is
Unless
also
they
the.
give me the day off, that'd be awesome. What you tell me? I work in federal government. Actually, I just got a new job for the federal government. And I just started, so I'm really
The government doesn't try to make a good impression.
Because he likes to keep in good terms with the government, so it will treat him in good impression.
I have plans, but I have, I want to manifest a lot of things.
See, that's why.
Actually, I believe that I thought to get this job, and I got it because I thought. I don't know. I really believe that. I really imagined the place because I've been there before on an internship a few years back, and I just kind of prayed and just asked him to get another chance to get in there and want to do new things and accomplish things. And I imagined it sincerely without attachment on different periods over a period of time. Just imagining and enjoying the thought. And you know, and one time, I don't know if that sounds weird, but one time before I go to bed, I imagined it so intensely that I kind of felt that I felt this area like tingling a lot. Whatever. Yeah. And then I was very sure that I was tingling. Oh, well, it's not something. And I was very sure that something will happen, and then I had an incident at my previous job, and the next day I gave my notice, and it was my birthday. The next day after the incident, and I said, I'm pretty sure that something will happen, something good will happen, and there's a good chance I might get this job 2 days or around 2 days after I gave my notice. I got a call from them as they like begging me, please, we need someone in that position right now. Could you please work for us and we'll get paid that much? Yeah.
Well, you know, if you really need someone, I don't think I'll help you.
You know what? I had exams at school at that time, and I couldn't start right away, and they needed someone right away. But I said yes, I'm going to just say yes and start, and whatever happens, happens. I'm pretty sure and I kept praying sincerely just to have things fall into place. And you know, they got my name and everything, and told me, oh, Fetty, sorry, because you were born in Egypt, we need more security checks for you, and it's going to take about a week or a week and a half. And it was exactly right after I finished my exam. Oh my gosh. Whoa.
Okay. I like this. I like this because now I even feel the goosebumps on the back, and whenever I get that, it's always I feel that there's some truthful moment that has happened, and these things, like I feel like this kind of manifestation, this kind of synchronicity is just beautiful to observe, because it just shows that if there's space to allow whatever is felt, and if it's felt good to enjoy that feeling, it's likely to carry on, and it's good. It's good to see that there's these kind of things manifest, and such synchronicity just affirms that there's something there taking care of you so well that you don't have to worry about anything.
And I perceive that whole thing as a progression or an evolution of me trying to be spiritual, or just evolving over the last year or two. And this is just the beginning. That's what I'm feeling. And now that I have this, I feel certain about being able to manifest things. I want to keep doing it, and I want to go further and see where I go. I mean, maybe you would say it doesn't matter, nothing matters, it's all the same, and you might be right, but I want to, at least that's what I want. I want to evolve, progress, and I want to manifest new things and see what happens.
Yeah, why not?
So I have dreams there.
That's good. Like you have ability to allow yourself to want it. And then as long as you want it without attachment to get it, it's fine. And as same as I want the island, I want it. And if I get it, it's fine. It's great. If I don't, it's not a problem. So if you want it the same way. Because obviously he believes that it's not okay to want. It's something goes against the whole thing. But wanting, manifesting is just part of it, and actually it flows better when you're free and aware of what we are now here. Other than that, it's.
And everything is different now that I'm there. I started noticing the people and who would help me manifest, and who would be influential in manifesting my things, and who would be hurting that actually. I can just tell when I talk to different people, the words and the sentences they say, whether they, at least I think I can tell, whether the sentences are just mechanics, like mechanical, and it's all just programming or reaction, or that it's actually their true self enjoying the moment with me while talking. There's a whole big difference there. The laugh, the smile, the smile is a real smile, or just an automatic thing. And I'm becoming a lot more aware, but it's, sometimes it's scary to know that so many people. And I try not to judge again, but
You cannot keep yourself from seeing.
yeah.
It's good. Whatever you hear it's only so common to hear in the experience of this. It's very common to see that there's going to be an observation where people are fake and where people are being real.
But it's not that I find it fake, I don't know, it's just too demeaning or judgmental to them. It's more like I feel like I want to help. Like, oh, poor person, like when it's all, oh man, I'm going to try to encourage them and be positive.
All that, if that happens in the moment, is good.
Yeah.
Sometimes, if you try to help those who don't ask for help, they'll kick you out and say, why are you here? I don't need your help.
But sometimes I still get weak and I still get caught up in the whole storm of thoughts. If you stay around, you get influenced by people if you stay around them. So you're surrounded with more aware people, it helps, or at least you relax and you give up and you become your true self. But if you're surrounded with people who have storms of thoughts, you can get caught up, no problems.
But this is you're referring from that past experience, right? It's not from this moment experience, because right now we did not encounter
that
people.
moment, no. Right now,
Yeah.
no.
So in this moment, actually, it may be different, because when you go on and encounter the storm, even the storm may be experienced differently.
Yeah.
So.
It keeps getting better.
Oh yeah. I haven't heard anyone who came to awaken and says this is a piece of shit. Because it gets worse and worse. I don't want it. I haven't seen anyone suffering awakening. You can suffer from desire to awaken, but not suffer the awakening. How can you suffer your own being? Okay, seems like the moment feels of disperse, and I guess nobody's watching it, so I can say bye-bye. Yeah, live broadcast. So, yeah.